At this time, I am thrilled to introduce our community spotlight, and that is the Idaho Immunization Coalition. And with us today is Heather Gagliano. Heather is a registered nurse, and she graduated from Jacksonville State University with her Master of Science in Nursing, specializing in population health. And previously, she has worked as a school nurse and as the immunization program manager at Central District Health. Currently, she works as the Operations and Education Director for the Idaho Immunization Coalition, and she has discussed immunization topics on podcasts, television, and news sites throughout Idaho and nationwide. Heather, thank you for sharing your time, your expertise, and for telling us more about the importance of immunizations and the wonderful work that the Idaho Immunization Coalition is doing. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Mary, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, everyone, for coming and listening for those little bit of time today. I know I'm standing between you and that wonderful community educator, and it sounds like a very fascinating topic. As I've learned more about Learn, Dawn, I think I will have to get some flyers, because as we're out in the community, we are always talking to people and educating our community about different resources around. And I think this would be a great resource. So we'll have to connect. So thank you so much for letting me talk about the Idaho Immunization Coalition. For those of you who don't know us, which oftentimes most people don't, we're a nonprofit here in Idaho, and we serve the entire state. Although a lot of our work is usually done in the southern part, we've done work from all the way up north to east to west. We're all over. Next slide. So Mary already did a little bit of an introduction of me. I do want to say, when they had the part about the why you do what you do, I'm going to share a little bit about myself. So I've been a nurse for 10 years, and in nursing, I always loved the idea of prevention. How can we prevent people from getting ill? And a lot of times we're talking about, okay, let's exercise, let's eat right, let's make sure that if someone's smoking, let's help them stop. And quite frankly, in our environment today, some of those things are pretty hard to do. I wish I could say I got as many vegetables as I needed to every day, but I don't always. And when I'm working with patients and community members and talking about how to prevent illness, it's pretty difficult. Generally, though, what I love about immunizations is relatively easy when it comes to prevention. It is, not necessarily there for, not everyone can do it, but a majority of people can. And compared to some of these other things, it's pretty easy. I love population health, and that just works really well with immunizations. So if you have any questions or anything offline, this is my email. Happy to always take any emails and answer questions and make connections. So next slide. So I'm here to talk about the Idaho Immunization Coalition. And like I said, we're a nonprofit, but really I like the idea of highlighting, what is a coalition? A coalition is a group of individuals or organizations who are working on a common goal. And that's what the IIC does, is we are individuals, whether they're healthcare providers, parents, community members, who are working towards the common goal of providing immunization access and providing education about the science-backed facts about immunizations. To accomplish that goal, we really have 3 pillars. So public outreach, advocacy, and education. Public outreach, I like to consider those really that access portion where we're going and doing mobile clinics. So the Idaho Immunization Coalition, the IIC, actually doesn't have immunizations ourselves, but we actually partner with other organizations who are providing immunizations and facilitating them to going out into the community, doing mobile clinics, really reaching out to their neighbors wherever they're living, wherever they're working, where they're playing, and provide that access to services. One of the things that we noticed with COVID-19 is that pandemic is you have to go to where people are. You can't just expect everyone come to you. So what we're able to do is help facilitate that mobile clinic portion of it. And we're really focusing on community members who might have disproportionately might be affected by some of these vaccine preventable illnesses, or where they might have access concerns, transportation, or maybe they're in a medical desert where they just can't get into a provider where they're having to drive 2 hours out. We've done big mobile clinics where we're reaching hundreds of people, and we've done small ones to a small community where we're only going out to 5 people. It doesn't matter the size, if we're able to help and educate or facilitate one person getting immunized, that's the important part, right? What's really cool with the public outreach is, although we are focused on immunizations, let's face it, that's, we don't just care about if someone's immunized. There's a whole part of a person, right? Sometimes immunizations is part of it, but sometimes it's housing insecurity, food insecurity, blood pressure concerns. So before we go out with our community partner, we find out from the community what those concerns are. And we try and facilitate another community organization to come and provide those services. For example, last year we were out at a local housing authority every few months, providing immunizations, providing blood pressure screening, cholesterol screening, A1C screening, and we're able to provide that at no cost. The community organization, the community members said, hey, we also have some really food insecurities here. So we were able to partner with the food bank to then be able to provide food boxes on those days that we were able to go out. Because us as an organization, although we are promoting immunizations, we really do care for people as a whole and want to be able to take care of them as a whole. But our organization can't do that, but we can partner with other people. Another time we were able to go out and domestic violence was a concern. So we had a local domestic violence agency come out, provide a little bit of education about healthy relationships, referral information. So that's kind of really what we do with public outreach. It's pretty neat. It's one of my favorite things to be out in the public and talking to people. And I'm always excited when we're able to do that. The other portion that we have, another pillar is advocacy. So an overwhelming majority of Idahoans, based off of multiple polls that we've done, really support immunizations and they want their voices heard. So we work to let our community leaders know that most Idahoans support immunizations and recognize them as an important part of their overall wellness and well-being. Because I am the education director, the last pillar is also one of my favorites, and that's really education. You recognize here at Learn the importance of education, really providing information to people, knowing where can you go that is safe and sound, and really providing quality information is important. And so that's one of the things we're able to do. When we're educating, we educate providers from pharmacists, physicians, about a variety of best practices, bringing in speakers at summits or things like that. But we also are out in the public and educating just everyday people, whether we're tabling at events or, again, just being where people, I love to think about us going out to where people live, where they work, where they play, and they pray. And that's one of my favorite ways that we do education. On this picture, you can see on the very bottom one of our health equity coordinators. You might be wondering what she's holding. She's holding a watermelon. So what she was able to do is she was going out to agricultural workers and helping pick the watermelons while providing education. So, it's really talking to people about what's important to them. And they were able to ask her questions, particularly at this point, it was last fall, they asked questions about COVID-19 vaccines, where do they get it? When should they get it? And she was right there picking watermelons with them, providing that education, which is really kind of neat. One of the things I like to highlight with the Immunization Coalition is we are there to support everyone from birth to the end of life. So we're providing education across that spectrum, providing access for vaccines or education. Okay, next slide. So that's about the Idaho Immunization Coalition, about our pillars and what we do. And so because education is so important, I really want to provide you all here with a little bit of education. So I know many of us have heard it's flu season coming up, coming up for the fall, for the winter. But I want to start, really that verbiage is starting to change to more it's respiratory illness season. So it's flu, it's RSV, and COVID-19. That is where we're starting to see these peaks in illnesses, hospitalizations. And so really that term of flu season isn't the most accurate anymore, but more respiratory illness. As adults age, our immune system tends to go down and not work as effectively. It's just part of that biological process we go through. And so there's certain immunizations that are out to really help reduce the burden of these illnesses. So when it comes to flu, RSV, and COVID-19, we do see a pretty large portion of people who are severely ill, whether they're hospitalized or go to their doctor, who are sick with these illnesses tend to be an older population. I know for me, when I was early on in my nursing career, I always considered RSV a childhood illness. I remember taking my son to the doctor with RSV and having to have him get taken care of. In reality, a large portion of people who are really sick with RSV are older adults. And so that's why there's actually been work going on for a vaccine for a little bit of time, quite some time now. And there is a new RSV vaccine. And so it's recommended for anyone 60 years of age and older to go ahead and get that vaccine to reduce that burden of illness on themselves and the community, or passing it off to other people. So a lot of us are familiar with the word flu vaccine, right? So it's time to get your flu vaccine. So the flu vaccine itself, the standard flu, is really designed for people who are a little bit younger, where again, their immune system is really working at its top, right? It's really working very effectively. You get the immunization, and then you're able to build up these antibodies. So enhanced flu really is geared towards those who are 65 and older, where their immune system doesn't build up as well. So the enhanced flu is something that really enhances your immune system. There's a few different types of enhanced flu. Some of us are familiar with the word high dose. That is one type of enhanced flu. There's another type that is it's they call it cell-based enhanced flu, where it is, again, increasing the amount of your immune response. So it enhances that immune response. So you actually get that big antibody buildup so that you are more protected against the flu. Hot off the presses, we have a new COVID-19 vaccine with a different variant coming out. So if it's been more than 2 months since your last COVID-19 vaccine, it's recommended that anyone 6 months of age and older get it. If it's been 2 months since your last one, really particularly, again, if you're looking at that burden of illness, those older adults, it's really important for them to be able to get those. I like to think for all of these respiratory illnesses, it's going from wild, having a wild time on your immune system. If you get the vaccines, it makes it more mild. So instead, if you don't have the vaccines, it's like a hurricane on your immune system, really having a harder time processing it. But if you're able to get vaccinated, it causes the illness to be more of a light sprinkle. So either way, you might get a little wet, but there's a vast difference between a nice light summer shower and a hurricane. So with that, next slide. If you want to learn more about the Immunization Coalition, I have a QR code about our website. We have really some fun videos about different drive-through clinics. We do every year a big health fair. Information is on there about that. The different services we provided. You can also follow us on Facebook or Instagram. And that's a great way, again, if you want to reach out or have other questions, we are able to answer back or partner together. We do partnering through education, tabling, and like I said, when we do education, not only are we providing immunization education, but we're providing education and resources to other areas. So for those agricultural workers, if there was concerns about housing, we would be able to bring in partner organization or their materials to say, hey, let's connect you in with this organization. Sometimes we are working with the population that Learn is serving. So I'm really excited to get these little flyers so I can be able to pass those out and say, hey, here's some information about immunizations, but hey, did you know there's some other really cool information regarding technology and where you get information, how to utilize it, and that's really what we do. So thank you.